Oh, good. Okay, it works.
Hello, Cheryl.
Okay, good. It works. I didn't realize you're competing with Shweki.
I don't even know what that means, but okay.
Shweki is giving a live concert online now that has like 50,000 people watching it.
Really? So he and Netflix are taking up all the bandwidth.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Ayelet.
Let's turn this
I'm
thing.
gonna mute myself soon. Oh my gosh. So order. I'm gonna go into the other room. What?
Hello, Brofsky.
Hello. Oh, there we go. How you doing? Where'd you go?
My video.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm right here. I can only stay for 15 minutes. I have another conference call at 1:15. I have to run interview prep for our college group.
You have a quick question you want to squeeze in the beginning?
Have an exclusive.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
Hi.
Where are
Good,
you?
how are you?
You're not here. Let's see. Quick question I want to squeeze in the beginning. I have so many questions.
I have to make sure, often I don't look at the chat. I think I have to look at the chat this time. There we go.
Yeah, no one's here yet. No questions. I have to think. My father has been giving us lots of Pesach Q&A the past couple of weeks. This is actually the first time that my parents are making Pesach.
You guys are one of those families.
So my mom, it's her first time doing it this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's first time making Seder.
We used to go away to my grandparents was like the main thing, and then at some point we started going away to hotels, but then we reverted back to just going to my grandparents.
Wow.
Hotels were always with my grandparents. But now this year we can't do that.
It's a big thing, At first, I was a little cynical about it, like, oh, all these poor Jews have to make Pesach for the first time. But,
right?
but it's like a big thing. Now I'm getting it's like for a lot of people, it's a very serious thing.
Well, to be fair, it's not as though we never contributed. When we were making Pesach, like my grandparents live 40 minutes away in Maryland. Like it's not. And we would drive over there. My grandmother would kosher the kitchen, and then my mom and my dad would cook. That was the deal.
You were there a whole week, or you came home?
We were there the whole week.
What?
No, we were there the whole week.
Your mom stayed there the whole week. Wow.
Yeah. My mom and my grandfather worked together, so it worked well.
Okay.
But
very good.
I guess one of our issues this past week was whether or not for Pesach, non-fresh, like frozen veggies, frozen fruits and veggies need a hechsher to be kosher to Pesach.
Right. All right.
That was a topic of discussion.
What did you find out?
That they do. Was our consensus.
Who told you that?
That was what my dad came to. It was that fresh does not matter, but frozen, meaning like not that they should.
Okay. You have all your answers.
I know. My dad is practically a Rav, right?
Yeah. What kind of cereal?
Okay, I guess we'll give this another 2 minutes.
Yeah, I would. What kind of cereal, Guff?
Gumbo.
That's dairy.
Okay. But I ate like an hour. Like an hour.
Yes, listen, we're not Shweki, but we're filling up.
Yeah. Marina, Lauren.
Sammy, look at this, piling in.
This is also like from all over the world right now.
I see Seffi. The question is that our Seffi or not? Marina.
It's got to be our Seffi.
Marina, I hope you're locked up over there.
Girl, we're trying to listen here.
Who too?
Marina, France is not looking good. Are you locked up over there?
Yeah, totally. Stress. Yeah, I mean, before you guys, but yeah.
Don't leave your house.
You too.
I haven't left in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Wow.
Okay. Cheryl, I'll just wait for the green light from you.
I mean, what time is it? I'd give it another like minute or two.
Okay.
I'm getting messages asking for the link, so hold on.
Brofsky, thanks for doing this.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I may have to switch locations in the middle, so we'll see. I've every room in the house is taken with the people on Zoom. Yes, I've never had a class this big.
What's the number here?
Brofsky, are you in the shelter?
In my house?
Isn't that where you give class?
I know. Well, I'm in the basement actually, but everyone has their own corner where they're zooming with them.
Yes, it is. One sec. Hold on. Yeah, I was gonna say all of our current students are like signing in now, so I'd give it a second.
Mashi.
Nice.
Huh?
It's a pretty it's a great group here.
We should just do this for fun sometimes. Why only when we have plagues?
It's true. Yeah, one sec.
Cheryl, we're gonna have to do like an alumni mishmar one day on Zoom.
Totally. Yalla. You could start.
While she's walking
Yes,
around. There we go.
I'm going into the other room.
This is fun. This
Wow.
is sensory overload at this point.
It's true. You can go for it. I guess start.
Okay. Okay. I guess people, everyone looks muted, right? Everyone muted? So feel free to unmute when you want to say something, but if not, you should probably be muted. Welcome to our Pesach question and answer. I don't think we've ever done this before, so we'll see how it goes. Obviously, can you guys hear me? It's working, okay. So first of all, obviously this is the shadow of Corona. You know, I imagine a lot of you are following, you know, on all sorts of, you know, social media, all the different questions that are coming up. I'm following it both on social media and all these like rabbi forums. And I have to tell you, rabbis are like, they're not sleeping these days, meaning they never sleep before Pesach. Some of you have a long history of sending me Pesach questions, so you know what Erev Pesach is like. But especially this year, a lot of new questions, a lot of new issues. It's pushing a lot of people past their comfort zone, which I'm finding very interesting. But that's supposed to be, meaning it's pretty dangerous out there, you know, and everyone should stay put. But that has certain challenges for Pesach. So we're going to talk a bit about maybe challenges this year. I'm not sure how to do this. My inclination is to just sort of start talking and address some questions I got, and you guys jump in, or should we just sort of like have a free-for-all? Cheryl, you have a preference? Cheryl's out for a second. Okay.
I think start, and then people will ask as they.
Great. Okay, so I'll start a little bit from the beginning, just like a bit of an overview and how things may be a little bit different this year. Hopefully it shouldn't be different, that different, but maybe a little bit different. Obviously, when we speak about Pesach, one of the first things we think about is Bedikat Chametz, and you know, even the Masechet begins that way with Bedikat Chametz. I know there are a lot of current students logged in here. I say current because even though we're not together in the same country, we're still currently learning together. I was asked today, I was asked from other schools as well, maybe some people left chametz behind. What do they do with chametz in their rooms? In general, what we do is if we leave a house or an apartment, wherever we're living before Pesach, before the night before Pesach, we do b'dikat chametz, and we say the bittul chametz that appears in the Haggadah for night. And then the night before Pesach, we do b'dikat chametz wherever we're staying, whether it's with our parents or families, or I guess this year not in hotels, but wherever we're staying. Some of you may have left chametz behind in a mad rush to reach safety or wherever you're going. My impression is the assumption of most of your schools is that whatever you left behind is probably hefker and they may throw away. If you left something behind that you expect to see again, then you should include it in your mechirat chametz. If not, you should just make sure to do bittul chametz both the night of b'dikat chametz and in the morning. Regarding biur chametz, there's just a bit of a discussion this year. We're accustomed to going out and big bonfires and burning chametz. Obviously, this year we don't do that. It's dangerous. Therefore, if you have a backyard and a barbecue and you want to burn a roll, so ashrecha, meaning that's a good thing to do. If not, then we'll perform biur chametz if we have any chametz left with the other means, the other methods that are mentioned by the Mishnah and the Gemara, which is basically just, making them into crumbs and throwing them, flushing them down the toilet or something like that, and making sure to dispose of our chametz. Again, please just jump in, if anyone has any questions that are relevant for now. Mechirat chametz. There's some discussion this year regarding mechirat chametz. First of all, often mechirat chametz is done personally, where a person actually goes to the rabbi or whoever is the agent for the mechirat chametz. The rabbi also usually meets with a non-Jew and has to perform the mechira. This year, mechirat chametz is done on everyone's doing it online. You're not in the screen, I'm told. Oh, there I am. 1 second. There we go. Okay, I'm going to share with you a screen now. So proud of myself. I figured out how to share screens. I know. I'm a dinosaur. 1 second. I'm not ready to do it yet. I have to find the file. Anyway, of just some links of, let me quickly find it. I'm sorry. Here we go. With mechirat chametz links. It's about to come up, and then I'll share the screen with you. Okay, 1 second. Share screen. Okay, for those who can see here, I gave you a mechirat chametz link. I believe this is to, obviously Chabad, I'm sure, has online mechirat chametzes. Many of your communities also do. I know that I think this is either the Beit Din or America, the Chicago Beit Din. I forgot exactly which one, but they're doing one as well. So if you want to copy this, or I don't know if there's another way to get this to you, download it, whatever, then feel free to do that. Okay. B'dikat chametz, mechiras chametz. Okay. Preparations for chametz. I'm sorry, for Pesach. So I want to talk a little bit about our kitchens. I know people are very stressed this year about two issues, I guess. One is like, do I have what I need to make Pesach? And what kinds of foods am I able to buy? So first of all, I want to say that I don't know what's going on in all of your communities. I know in my community, like I don't leave. Like I'm at home. Everything I do is online. I'm like WhatsApping the makolet and on the Super Soul online and stuff like that. Minimize going out. I mean it really seriously. And even at the expense of certain leniencies for Pesach, just don't go when you shouldn't be going out, and everybody should really be safe. That said, the question is, how does that sort of jive with doing Pesach properly? So I want to say something about kalim, and then we'll talk a little bit about food. Because I don't have a full screen, I don't know if anyone's chatting, so I'm going to assume not. Here I am. 1 second. Chat. Second. Okay. So anyway, already for a few weeks, people have been saying that all these people who usually don't make Pesach at home, they're at hotels, wherever they are, and all of a sudden they have to make Pesach. What are they going to do? And I'll admit that, the first few times I heard it, I maybe laughed a little bit and giggled and chuckled and thought, oh, these poor people making Pesach. But it's a major issue for a lot of people, and I've been getting questions. A lot of people are asking these questions. And let me first talk with utensils. Like, what do people do when they don't have the utensils at home to make Pesach? So I'll say two things. See, the best thing to do is really just kosher the things that you have at home. That's what Jews did for thousands of years. And to kosher one's kelim, those that can be kosher, not everything can be koshered, but the things that can be koshered, I think that certainly one should not hesitate to do that. How does one do that? I'm hesitant to give a whole shiur on Hagalas kelim, but maybe I'll just mention a few basic highlights. When it comes to, let's say, things like silverware, things that are made of metal, there's no problem, and pots, by the way, there's no problem koshering them for Pesach. Koshering them from Pesach basically just means that one takes a pot of, an Eino Ben Yom, a pot of boiling water. If it's a Pesach pot, that's even better. If not, one should really just take as big a pot as possible, boil it with water, careful that you don't burn yourself, and whoosh the water around the edges a little bit so it gets completely koshered. But while the water is boiling and you see the bubbles, you put all your things in there. They could be wood, they could be metal, and they're koshered one by one. The things that you kosher should be Eino Ben Yomo, but all your silverware and knives and things like that, there's really no problem koshering them. What else? Plates. Most porcelain things we assume cannot be koshered. Therefore, when it comes to plates, it's a little bit more tricky. Obviously, people can buy paper if they're able to. If not, if you buy a new set of plates, in general, I don't think that porcelain plates need to be told. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. That shouldn't be a problem. People's basic utensils. 1 second, I see some chats here. Can you kosher a pot that doesn't fit into a bigger pot? Excellent. So let me say something about Hagala. So first of all, Hagala is not a mikvah, meaning that like in a mikvah, you can't stick your hand in and then stick your other hand in. But when it comes to Hagala, it's not, you can put parts in. So therefore, if you have a giant pot, but you can't squeeze something in, so you can put part of it in and then turn it around and put the other part in. So that's actually not a problem. You can put, pieces in. What type of pots can be kosher for Pesach? The truth is, all pots that are made out of metal can be kosher for Pesach. They should be cleaned well. You should clean around the edges and around the handle. Sometimes there's like, you have to be careful there. But basically, any metal pots can be koshered. Ashkenazic custom is generally not to kosher glass. Sephardim assume that glass will be used for meat, for dairy, for Pesach, for not Pesach. Ashkenazic custom is not to use kosher glass or Pyrex. In extenuating circumstances, if you literally have nothing and you can't go out this year because of Corona and things like that, that would tell you to kosher them. Obviously, the only things that can withstand the heat, to kosher them in hot water. That's in terms of things that are pots being koshered and silverware. Glasses, again, Ashkenazim generally don't kosher glass. That applies for drinking glasses. And I'm looking here at a question about French presses for coffee. Now, I will admit that I'm very sympathetic to coffee. I made a special order today with my neighbor from a coffee place in the Shuk that they should come out here with a shaliach to deliver coffee for us, because chas v'shalom we should be left the next few weeks without coffee. But what about a French press? I'll tell you the problem. Anyway, Baruch Hashem, the glass French press, at least for Ashkenazim, we put in dishwashers, and I think it's not so great to kosher it. That would be my recommendation. I don't know. I could see a situation doing Hagala to it if it won't break, but l'chadchila, I think I would avoid it. Other questions about koshering ovens. Ovens can be koshered if you have a self-clean oven. Then clean it out and self-clean it. If you don't have a self-clean oven, you can just wait 24 hours, preferably. Clean it. You have to really get all the guk and stuff like that out. Turn it up to its highest temperature, and keep it at its highest temperature for half an hour, 45 minutes, until it's really hot for a while. Highest temperature. The stovetop. Stovetop is comprised of two parts. You have like the part that just things drop onto, and you have the parts that are above the flame. Let's talk about a gas flame. So if you have like the grates over the flame, the truth is that they don't even have to be kosher at all. However, there's a custom already for 500-600 years that we kosher them, but you can do what's called libun kal. What does that mean? You can put it in the oven when you kosher the oven. You can leave it over the flame and turn on the flame at its highest flame for 15 minutes and just burn it out. That's really all you have to do. The area under the grates, listen, if you can cover it with aluminum foil, then that's great. If not, then just be careful when food falls on it that we don't really eat it. But I think most people try to cover it with aluminum foil, but avoiding obviously ruining their stovetop. There are other types of stovetops these days, glass stovetops. Glass stovetops are a little bit tricky, but we assume that you can just also clean them, turn them up to the highest temperature. The area that you put the pot on is okay. There are areas in the glass stovetop that don't get hot. Those areas you should assume are not koshered. Therefore, you should make sure that food doesn't drop into those areas, and preferably you should rest your pots on that area. Hot water boilers and kumkums. An urn, let's start with the kumkum. If the assumption is that you don't put anything else in your kumkum but hot water, then there's really no reason why you have to kosher it at all. You should clean it out. Maybe you could boil the water in it once, but really you don't have to do anything to it. What about a hot water urn? If we're talking about what you see like in Israel, the metal hot water urns with the tops on them, if they're only used for water, then theoretically they don't have to be koshered either. It's very common in Israel. I forgot already what goes on in America. People put food on top of their urns. There's even like a little place to put the food there. Their challahs up there. If that's the case, then the cover should really probably also be dipped in hot water. If not, maybe wrap it in like twice around in aluminum foil. But the urn can really be used. If you feel like this is not the year to buy a special urn for Pesach, there's no reason not to use a regular urn for Pesach. Okay, those are the basics when it comes to koshering. I don't think a water cooler like with two spigots needs to be koshered. I have seen people who've claimed that the hot water spigot, people put like oatmeal under it, and they're worried about the steam sort of going up. If you're worried about that, then I don't know, fill up a cup and fill it with hot water so that the spigot goes into the hot water. That would basically kosher it. But if you're not worried about that issue, water coolers are really only used for water. If you wash them, they should be okay. When it comes to countertops, there's some countertops that could be just really be kosher, like granite and other sort of stone materials. Even like Caesar stone, one can kosher. Really just clean it well, then pour boiling water. The best is to pour water from a kumkum over them. It's a little tricky in terms of burning yourself. You have to be very careful when you're doing that. There are other people who really just cover everything with either, I don't know, some type of plastic or aluminum foil. Either way is really fine. In recent years, people have been asking about using steamers. Theoretically, a steamer would be okay for a countertop. A lot of the steamers they sell for homes, not commercial steamers, they don't really produce a lot of steam. You know what I'm saying? Like if you actually put your hand under it, I wouldn't try this at home, but it wouldn't necessarily burn. There's not a lot of liquid coming out. So if you have a serious steamer with a lot of liquid coming out and a lot of steam, then theoretically that could be used to kosher. I'm just not sure if all steamers really live up to that standard. What else? Somebody asked me today about those seltzer machines. So what are they called? SodaStream. Those are really okay. You just have to clean it out, and they can be used. Coffee makers, such as I have a Pesach coffee maker. I admit it. However, I say the coffee maker? The issue is really the glass pot, meaning whether you wash it in dishwashers and other things. I don't know. I'm not sure whether I'd use it for Pesach. Plastic bottles that go with SodaStream. Plastic bottles can be koshered in hot water, and that would be okay. I mean, they're probably kosher anyway, assuming you didn't put chametz in them, but you can certainly kosher them. Koshering a sink. Stainless steel sink is pretty straightforward in terms of koshering it. You wait 24 hours from using it with hot water. That's why people often like to do it on Saturday night. That's like usually the koshering night, because you haven't really used it for 24 hours with hot liquids. And you, again, take a kumkum or something and pour hot water over the entire area, all the metal areas. If you have a material that's not stainless steel, like in America, there used to be like porcelain sinks. I think they're less common than they used to be. Then on the one hand, we saw a porcelain sink can't be koshered. On the other hand, there are two suggestions, either to really clean it out well. Some people pour the hot water on it, and just be careful not to, to sort of wash things with hot water in the sink during Pesach with very hot water. And there are those who have basins, plastic basins. I don't know whether you've ever seen that. Those are two customs when it comes to those types of sinks. The trays that you put in the oven. When Americans talk about trays, they talk about racks that you put, tins on to bake things in the oven. Once you kosher your oven with the racks inside that are already be clean, that's not really a problem. You could put your things on top of them. However, Israeli ovens have trays in the bottom that Israelis actually cook in them. They like put their chicken in them and things like that, and they bake things in them. Those can't be kosher. If you put soap in hot water for the sink, you need to wait 24 hours. That's a great question. It's one of the good tricks, which is that if one needs to kosher something through Hagala within 24 hours, one can add some type of soap or something to the water, and that then it becomes unnecessary. Can you kosher all these utensils every year? What I'm talking about now is really all straightforward halacha. Nothing that I've said is really anything unique for plague time. I can't believe I said those words. Dishwashers. There are those who don't like koshering dishwashers at all. However, many do. Basically, if the dishwasher is stainless steel on the inside, and even if the dishwasher is plastic, then really you just want to clean the dishwasher well, including the filters, and you want to let it sit for 24 hours. And then you want to let it run on its highest and hottest temperature. I did probably put soap in there as well, and that koshers the dishwasher. Have we covered more or less issues of Hagalas Kalim? I think that we have basically. One of the big issues that's coming up recently. What about dishwasher racks? Same thing. Dishwasher racks are plastic. We also assume that they can be koshered inside the dishwasher. As long as they're clean, they kosher with everything else. And they're okay. A lot of people may find themselves wanting to buy new things for Pesach, new pots, new plates, and with the inability of being told of them in a mikvah. We know that in general, we buy new things that require tevilat kelim. When I say new things that require tevilat kelim, I mean things that are used for food preparation or eating that are made of metal or glass. We assume that they have to be toveled, and we can't use them before we tovel. But this year, it's not so simple. Meaning, my impression is that in American communities, the kela mikvahs are almost completely closed. Not 100% sure, but in a lot of them, and even in the communities that they're still open, I think a lot of people are very hesitant to leave their house and go to the kela mikvah. Therefore, what should one do? So I've been following this discussion very closely. It's actually a somewhat interesting discussion. And theoretically, there's a spectrum of views. And I guess I'll start from one extreme. One extreme is to be lenient and to rely upon those opinions that believe that it's really not so prohibited to use your utensils before you tovel them. There are opinions like that in the Rishonim, and maybe that opinion can be relied upon. There are those who suggest something in the middle, that maybe when you buy something new, you buy it, but then you have in mind not to own it, not to acquire it when you take it. I don't know, I find that a little bit problematic, but there are those who are suggesting that. There are those who are suggesting be mafkir your new utensils and renouncing ownership. You're using them, but you're not the owner. How would you renounce ownership? Because usually renouncing ownership hefker is done publicly, and we don't really have much of a public life anymore. So it could be you could do it on Zoom or Facebook on your local, or Facebook or WhatsApp on your local WhatsApp group. Say, hi, I'm being mafkir, the new glasses that I bought, and seemingly that would work. That would work as well. Another option that poskim have always spoken about, and we're talking about now, is the option of mechira, selling it to a non-Jew and having him lend it to you when you can use it. All of these they're all lacking in some way.
My video's off, but how's your day?
They're all lacking in some way. I'm sorry, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Yep. Guys, I'm going to quickly move to a different room with your permission. So we're going to take a 15-second break, okay? Hold on 1 second. Okay, I just want to readjust the camera. Can people still hear me? I can't really see anyone, so if someone could just chat me, great. Okay. Lost my breath going up the stairs. Okay. So anyway, we had these different approaches. I'll be honest with you, I was inclined. There's something about the selling it to non-Jew and being mafkir. There's something lacking about it. What do you mean that I'm mafkir it, but I'm using it or I sell it? So I'm really inclined to just rely upon the lenient positions. And after Pesach, when this whole thing passes, we'll bring these things to the mikvah. However, I want to point out the following. I put on the, if you see the sheet that I shared with you, it says Bechirat Kelim. The Beit Din of America is providing a service where they're temporarily selling any new kelim that you buy. If you happen to be in Israel, so first of all, I put here a link to Sohar from Mechirat Chametz, and also Sohar has a Mechirat Kelim list. So the truth is, I think that's also a reasonable option. If you find yourself buying new pots and things like that, just sort of fill out the form. And then obviously when everything passes, one should bring everything to the mikvah. Any questions about koshering things or to be like Caleb? Anyway, okay. So I'm going to move on to the issue of products and foods. I received a few questions about whether we could be about what we eat this year on Pesach. Microwaves. I'm sorry that I didn't mention microwaves. Microwaves usually is pretty simple. As long as you clean out your microwave well, wait 24 hours, then put a cup of water in there, maybe a bit of soap in it, let it boil, but boil well to fill the entire cavity with steam. Could be maybe 15, 20 minutes. There are those who discuss what to do with the glass tray at the bottom. There's some kosher, there's some who just take it out. There's some who cover it with saran wrap. I usually either take it out or I cover it with saran wrap. Okay. So there are those who are asking about whether there are any leniencies regarding foods and products, especially since we are, first of all, the stores may have fewer foods than we're used to for Pesach. There may be shortages. Yeah, I can't spend every day in the supermarket and things aren't coming. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about that. First of all, regarding kitniot, people sent a few questions privately and here. Are there any differences regarding kitniot? Well, thank God, a type of plague where there's a food shortage and we need to tell people to eat beans and rice and things like that. I don't think that the current situation justifies that. I can imagine a situation if you told me there's an elderly couple and they really can't shop. I don't know, but I think for most of us, we're not really in that situation. I think you should try to eat your regular kosher Pesach food. I don't think there's any reason to rely on leniencies. It could be in Israel, where a lot of the food that's sold as kosher Pesach have mixtures of kidneyot and non-kidneyot. Like you have kidneyot oils and things like that. So some Ashkenazim eat them every Pesach, and even those who don't, it could be there's more room this year to be more lenient, meaning because I just can't get to the supermarket. So if the supermarket sent me the salad dressing that happens to have soy oil as opposed to, I don't know, cottonseed oil, I think that's going to be lenient, but I don't think there's justification this year for having corn and string beans and things like that. I gave you at the bottom of this chart that I sent you a product list from the London Beit Din. Do you guys see it? Now, I know the OU sent this out. And if you follow the link there, they'll send you to a list of foods that they think that really don't need supervision. What do you mean really don't need supervision? And a normal Pesach, we would only buy from the local kosher supermarket with the OUP or whatever, Strasbourg, Beit Din, whatever, something, a symbol on it. But we all know that basically the product is kosher. They have a list there of things that one could buy, and one can assume that they're kosher even without supervision. So I recommend looking at it if you find yourself in a bind or asking someone. There are a lot of foods like that out there. The issue was raised early about frozen fruits and vegetables. I looked at that recently. My impression is that a number of them are really not a problem without any type of Pesach supervision, but I forgot the specifics. I don't really want to say regarding the specifics. What else? A few Yom Tov issues I want to quickly mention that aren't necessarily Corona related. First of all, on Yom Tov, we know that Yom Tov is on Thursday. It's on Thursday and Friday. Somebody asked about cooking on Yom Tov, the parameters of cooking. We assume that one can cook. We don't light fires on Yom Tov, but rather we usually have a pre-existing flame, and then we light a flame or we leave the flame on. But when it's permitted to cook, you can make fresh rice, you can boil water, you can heat up water, things like that. We assume that one can cook on Yom Tov. This year, there's a unique challenge of cooking for Shabbat for those in Chutz La'aretz, because Shabbat is on Shabbat. I mean, the second day of Yom Tov is Friday. So when you're supposed to cook for Shabbat. In those cases, we do what's called an Erev Tavshilin. I gave you the text of the Erev Tavshilin below. What should be done is as follows. On Wednesday afternoon before Yom Tov, one should set aside, let's say, a matzah or two and a hard-boiled egg. That's usually the custom. Something baked and something cooked. If you want to set aside brisket, that's also good. And you say the bracha over here of Al Mitzvat Eruv. Then you say the formula which creates what we call the Erev Tavshilin. You can say it in Aramaic. Right? If you want to say it in Hebrew, but say if you want to say it in English, you can find the English text as well. We don't have time in this context to go into the mechanism of the Erev Tavshilin, but a very simple thought is that Erev Tavshilin is sort of, it presents us with some type of heker, some type of reminder that even though we may spend Friday cooking for Shabbat, we are both honoring Shabbat and not ignoring Yom Tov at the same time. Induction stovetop. I've actually never seen an induction stove. I'm so curious about that. If someone correct me if I'm wrong, who asked me, Shoshi asked me this, is that there's just no heat. And you put your pot there and like magic, the food becomes hot. Shoshi, can you confirm that? Is she still there?
Yeah, it's like it's a magnet pretty much. So you turn on the stove, and then if you have I think it's not aluminum, it's stainless steel pot. There's a magnetic something that causes the pot to heat up, but there's no actual.
What is that? What is the turning on? You're turning on the magnetic.
Yeah.
Wow. What have you done in the past?
First time making Pesach. Haven't done it.
You must have just got married recently.
No, 3 years ago.
Anyway, I don't think there's a problem cooking on it. I don't know about the turning it on. I don't understand how it works. So I apologize. I have to Google that. I know there's a large discussion about koshering the top of an induction because there's no heat. So I know like Rev Ramon was telling us that he was working on some nifty little silicon sheet to put on top of it, and the magnetic waves would go through the silicon. I don't know. I have a feeling that you don't really have to kosher it at all, meaning clean it up well. Meaning if it never got hot, I don't know why you'd have to kosher it really. There's spills, but I don't know. That's my impression. I don't know about turning it on in Yom Tov. I'm sorry. I guess you could Google that and let us know. Other questions about cooking. We did Erev Tavshilin. Showering. Somebody asked about showering. So those who were in my halacha classes over the previous years know that in general I believe that on Yom Tov one is permitted to shower, certainly on the 3-day Yom Tov. I recall my Shana Aleph, it was a 3-day Rosh Hashanah, and I went up to Brofsky and asked him whether something like, are you allowed to shower on for Shabbat? And he looked at me and said something like, are you allowed? Chayav, or mitzvah, I forgot exactly what word he used. But I think that warm bathing is permitted on Yom Tov. I think that, I don't know, I've never seen a towel get that wet that people can bring out the water. That doesn't seem to be a problem. Ashkenazim don't use bar soap, so don't use bar soap. Hair, I think you can, put soap in your hair. You can let the water go through through your hair and get the soap out. I think you can put a towel on your head and dry your hair. I would avoid taking your hair and wringing it out for those who have long hair. The Rambam says that schita b'se'ar is an issur d'Rabbanan, but I don't think those are really very big obstacles. I think that one is permitted to shower on Yom Tov, obviously avoiding other things like I mentioned, like bar soap and things like that. Okay. By the way, somebody asked me about Hallel, so maybe I'll quickly answer that question. We know that on Pesach, Hallel Shalem is said the first day or two, and the rest of it is what we call Chatzi Hallel, as opposed to Sukkot, which all 8 days, 9 days, whatever we say, the full Hallel. I just wanted to mention that the Gemara in Masechet Erechim tells us that in Sukkot every day had different korbanot. Therefore, every day was like its own Chag, warranting its own full Hallel. For Pesach, if you remember from Musaf, it's like the same Musaf every day. It's the same korban, and therefore, once you said Hallel Shalem the first day, the rest of the days didn't warrant Hallel, and it's only really a custom to say Hallel or Chatzi Hallel the rest of Pesach. Some Rishonim brought this additional reason that the latter part of Pesach had to sort of mix Simcha, because on the one hand, we had Kriyat Yam Suf and Yitzit Mitzrayim, but also the Mitzrayim were drowned, and Maaseh Yadai Tovim Bayam, and therefore, in order to temper that Simcha, we only say a partial Hallel. Maybe a word about going back to Pesach products, medicines and cosmetics. I'll talk very quickly about. There's a large discussion whether regarding the kashrut of medicines, the kashrut of cosmetics. Regarding medicines in general, I think one can assume that all pills are kosher to Pesach. The following two reasons. First of all, even if there is an chametz, years ago there used to be flour that was used as a binding agent in pills. We generally assume it's what we call nifsal me'achilat kelim. Medicine is not edible. It's not a food that anybody or any dog would eat. In addition, in recent years, they almost never use real chametz. Chametz is expensive these days. They use other starches, sometimes corn, sometimes sweet potatoes or something like that. It's not really a problem. There are, exactly. So Talia says, what about lactose pills? Lactate pills are actually one of the things that are known for having chametz in them as an ingredient. I don't know if it's an active ingredient or I'm not really sure. It's a good question. I know that within the OU there's a bit of a debate. Rabbi Schechter is of the opinion that any pill by definition is nifsal, and you could really take any pill, any vitamin, any pill. There are those who are strict regarding lactate pills. They try not to eat them, especially since it's not necessarily medicine. It just enables you to have kosher Pesach Haggadahs or something like that. But I think the Ikar din is that the pills are really okay. Melatonin, somebody asked. So the truth is, again, the view of Rabbi Schechter is that all pills, even vitamins, now there is a debate regarding vitamins even without Pesach, because a lot of vitamins, for example, like calcium pills. So sometimes the calcium comes from non-kosher animal bones, things like that. First of all, it's very in these days that vitamins, they say vegan and gluten and all sorts of things like that. There must be some type of correlation to people who are vegans and people take vitamins, but that's fine for that now. But so in any case, there are a lot of vitamins on the market now that have kashrut supervision. But I do believe that in the Ikar Hadin, all pills are okay. Certainly if melatonin is prescribed, I think all pills are okay. I assume that most of you don't take liquid medicine. Liquid medicine is generally given to children. Liquid medicine is sometimes an issue of kidney, which I don't think one should view as a problem when it comes to children. Adults often try to avoid liquid medicine unless they know that it doesn't have chametz ingredients. But I do think that the Ikar Hadin, I think it's okay. Chewable medicines. I also think that chewable medicines, they're not really edible. They're just have enough taste that you don't get nauseous when you chew on them. You know what I'm saying? But I don't really think that they're edible. Therefore, I know there are those who are strict, but I really think all of these medicines are okay. Certainly a year like this, I don't think people should be going out of their way to find more kosher medicine. But even the Ikar Hadin, I think all medicines are okay. Cosmetics, all cosmetics, whether it be, well, let's start with creams, shampoos, ointments, it's all good. Even sometimes, you're in the shower and you look at the shampoo and it says like wheat germ, it's all, I think it's all good. All these things are nifsal me'achilat kelev. The only thing that some people discuss are lipstick, toothpaste, and mouthwash because they really go into your mouth. Lipstick, I think nobody really eats, and therefore, I think if some people have the custom of starting a new lipstick, if one doesn't want to do that, or this year it's not a good time to do that, I think you need to cut off the top. Same with chapstick, I think that one can also cut off the top, just so if you don't have breadcrumbs or something like that on them. Toothpaste, I believe, is fundamentally nifsal me'achilat kelev. By the way, almost all the brands of toothpaste nowadays are on the kosher lists. Certainly all the Colgates are, but I think that they're all nifsal me'achilat kelev. That was certainly the position of Rav Soloveitchik. The famous story that someone once asked him, but my dog eats toothpaste, and he said, you have a meshugana hund, which means you have a crazy dog. I don't think he meant to say your dog in particular is crazy, but that it's not food. So I'm saying dogs may eat lots of things, but toothpaste is not food, shampoo is not food, mouthwash is also not food. Mouthwash is nifsal. In addition, the alcohol that's in mouthwash is generally denatured. Maybe I'll say a word about that. Until recently, there was a lot of discussion about things that had alcohol in them, because if they're from grain alcohol, are they considered chametz? So first of all alcohols that are not sold in liquor stores are denatured. Denatured means that they add an ingredient and they chemically alter it and they make it inedible. It has a bad taste. Now, there are some poskim who felt that despite the bad taste, people still eat them. Nowadays, I imagine everyone's walking around Purells all day. So years ago, during the swine flu, I don't know what it was. We have all these words nowadays, epidemic, pandemic, whatever it was. So they started giving out Purell or one of these sanitizers in prisons because they didn't want the disease to spread. And all of a sudden, people were drinking it. They were eating it because it was alcohol. So even if that's true, I don't think that's normative behavior. I don't think that we assume that all of these things are nifsal me'achilat kelev. I'll also add that denatured, even if you have denatured alcohol nowadays, it's usually not from grains, but rather from sweet potatoes and other starches. Therefore, all the perfumes nowadays, even the OU changed their policy a number of years ago. By the way, the OU changed their policy regarding a number of things, including medicines. The OU's current policy is that all medicines are fine and all perfumes are fine, and all these things are really fine. I don't think anyone, certainly this year, should go out of their way to get special, but even in other years. Somebody asked me about spices. It's a good question. I didn't really 100% understand the question. Part of it had to do with something is open from before Pesach. Can you use it on Pesach? there is this custom that if something's open before Pesach, even if it's kosher for Pesach, we sort of put it aside and we open a new one. I imagine most of you have that custom at home. Even toothpastes, people sort of do that with. But it's a custom. It's not really a real halacha. If you don't think that chametz fell into something, if it was sure, then one could assume it's okay. I think especially here like this. In terms of which spices one considered kosher to Pesach, if it doesn't have a symbol on it, again, look at that link that I sent from the London Beans. My impression is that most spices are considered kosher to Pesach, except cumin maybe and one or two others. Right? That's my impression. Listen, if you know that you poured salt over hot food, chametz over pasta, then you probably shouldn't use the salt. But besides for that, I think in extenuating circumstances, I think that the spice is okay. Just reading the questions here. Source sheet, please send me your email. Okay, not sure what that means, but I'm happy to share source sheets if that's what that's about. You have to wash your fruits and vegetables with soap. Is that a corona question or a kasha question? If it's a kasha question, the answer is not necessarily. Regarding corona, ask people who understand about germs. My grandmother said something about needing a separate pot to boil eggs on Pesach. Is that a thing? I don't know. I'm not sure about that thing. In general, by the way, there used to be a custom of buying eggs and dairy products before Pesach. In Israel, it's definitely not necessary. They clean out no one's eating chametz already since Purim no animals in Israel. In Chutz La'aretz, it was a custom. I don't think some families have it, some people don't. I don't think it's a custom people have to adopt. Certainly in a year like this, I'm saying I don't think that if you have a problem getting eggs, so get eggs on Chol Hamoed. I think it's okay. Meaning don't use the salt shaker if that's the question. Yeah, I guess so. Meaning if it's a salt shaker that you've used at meals with chametz, I think that's the type of thing I'm not sure that I would use. I wouldn't use on Pesach. Kashrut, that goes back to that. Okay, anyway, that's in terms of products. A word about the Seder. So, I don't know. I was asked to say a few words about leading the Seder for the first time. I'm not sure exactly how to address that. I don't know. I think Seder is something one should prepare for. I don't know if you guys have more time in your hands or less time. It could be that some of you have more time and those with jobs and children have much less time on their hands, but one should prepare ahead of time as much as possible to see what they want to cover in their Seder, how they want to present it if they have children. If necessary, I've been asked a few times, although it's not necessarily dafka this year, about abridging the Seder, especially in America. It starts very, very late here also, but not as late as America. If one has young kids, in general, we assume that the Seder shouldn't begin until dark. Maybe a good thing this year is because there's no shul, we can actually start the Seder the second it gets dark, as opposed to coming home from shul like 45 minutes later. So that's actually maybe a positive this year. We'll can start early. Those who feel like they have to start earlier because of young children, then really they should do a sort of a mock Seder for the young children. But after dark, they should really do their own proper Seder. On the other hand, if a person feels like they want to start on time, but they want to bridge things during the Seder because of young kids. So I think during the Maggid section, large parts can be abridged. Certainly the beginning part should be said, whether it be the 4 questions, and those things, that begin really Maggid. But I think once you get rolling after Baruch HaMakom into all how many plagues there were and all that type of stuff, I don't think that one needs to say. It's good to do the Makot with the wine, that's right? And then Rabban Gamliel, obviously mentioning the 3 things, the central theme. Obviously, one should not, I think, skip any of the brachot and hallel and things like that. Nashing during Maggid, snacks and stuff. I don't think that's a problem. People are a little bit hung up on karpas, not to have a kazayit of karpas. I think that assuming that people are pretty hungry, I don't think there's a problem having a lot of karpas, having some potatoes out. I don't know what else. Marina, what else do you want to nosh on? I don't.
Get more kafbas.
More karpas. I think that's okay. Yeah. I don't know about other snacks, but I think that's okay. When I say dark, I mean Seid HaKochavim. Yeah, it'll say in all the charts and the apps and things like that when Seid HaKochavim is. I don't know exactly what time that is. The question that a number of you may have been curious about, actually, I'll mention something else. There are people who are worried about not getting shmur matzah this year, which is actually a very interesting issue. So the truth is that if one does not have shmur matzah, one can actually use regular matzot. Why do I say that? Because it's machloka, what type of matzah do you use to fulfill the mitzvah on the first day? Does it have to be matzah that's shmura, that's washed from the time that the wheat was cut, or only from the time that the wheat is ground? It's called china. Our chumrah, these hand shmur matzahs or even machine shmur matzahs, is that they're washed from the time that the wheat is cut, it's harvested. But the truth is that the yikar din is really from the time that the flour is ground, and therefore regular matzahs, your regular OU box matzahs, they're really fine. Our custom is not to use them in a normal seder, but if you feel that for some reason your community ran out of shmur matzahs and you can't get your hands on them this year because no one is going to hotels anymore and they're all eating up all the matzahs, then that should be okay. Okay, let me dedicate 2 or 3 more minutes to issue of electronics during the Seder. I know that maybe some of you are following that online, and then we'll wrap it up. I believe Alex is speaking. Is someone question? Okay. First of all, in general, I don't know how many of you are alone currently and not going anywhere, but it's not easy. I'm, thank God, in a nice house with my family and all my kids, and we're doing okay. We're actually, I don't know, we're having a good time here. But for a lot of people, it's very hard. It's very lonely, either because they're alone or they're elderly, and it's not easy. And Pesach is 3 days this year it starts, and that is difficult for anyone. But certainly for people living alone, and certainly for elderly people living alone, there's a lot of anxiety. I know that the RCA has been working very hard on this, and Rabbi Schechter, for example, put out a letter where he spoke about calling and checking up on people on Yom Tov. If there's a real concern, so I'm saying from elderly people, there's a type of concern that really you want to look out for their health, but that's certainly something that you shouldn't hesitate to do if that's something that you feel is, that's a corona issue, that could be any time, but certainly this year. Those of you following social media, you're probably aware of this whole question of can you have a Zoom Seder? The issue started actually with a friend of mine, actually Siddim Bate did together, and he sort of got together a bunch of his Sephardic friends and poskim, and they issued this psak that one can Zoom Seder for the elderly and people like that, people who really not good for them to be alone. And then there's a lot of the counter discussion. What's good? Is it good? Is it not? A lot of people are saying that it doesn't work anyway because Zoom expires after 40 minutes. And even if you have a professional account, like apparently the account I'm on now, imagine, the Wi-Fi stops and the screen blacks out and it's not so effective. I don't know about that. I have a feeling that a lot of these things will be overcome. Those are other objections that were raised. I don't feel comfortable in a public forum saying I think it's great, I think it's not. I cannot say that categorically I think there's a problem. I think there are cases that it might be appropriate to zoom in a relative, especially if it's set up beforehand where really the camera's just on you. The second night is more challenging. I think the Israelis did think about a second night, so they didn't really deal with that issue. But I think it should be dealt with on a very specific level. I'm hesitant to say something very broad now, but I don't categorically reject it. On the other hand, I think that it's something which is a little tricky. One should think about it with care. I know that Rev Ramon published something yesterday or last night. This morning, we suggested families instead have on the afternoon before the Seder, they Skype in all of their relatives and they do for 2 hours before Yom Tif and songs and Magid and Okay, meaning maybe that helps a little bit. It doesn't help for the second day. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much it helps. It could alleviate this situation partially. But I think if a person has a specific question regarding this possibility, then I think we should ask someone about it. Okay, any final questions? It looks like I have 2 minutes before ballot is coming. Obviously, as you all know, you should feel free to, WhatsApp me or contact me all sorts of ways. I'm happy to answer questions or help out in any way. If anyone wants to take advantage of the next 30 seconds to ask a question, feel free to jump in. The document that's on, I'm going to stop the share. If anybody wants the document that I gave out, so feel free to WhatsApp me or something. I'll send you. It just has links that some of you might find interesting. I'll mention one more thing very quickly. Somebody asked me about Mechirat Chametz. A person who usually doesn't sell Chametz Gamor, and this year, for various reasons, wants to sell Chametz Gamor, they have to do Hatarat Nedarim. The answer is no. There's no reason to do Hatarat Nedarim. I do think there's justification this year, depending on each family and their own situation. I think that there is justification for selling a Chametz Gamor. Hatarat Nedarim is not necessary. Wooden tables should be cleaned. If it's a wooden table that people eat on, I guess it should be covered. Can you sell chametz in Israel dorms through local chametz forums in America? You have to check. There are American forums that cover the Israel time zone. You have to make sure that you're on one of those forums. You can contact me privately, and we could figure something out together. Okay, guys, it was good seeing so many of you. I didn't see the final number here, but anyway, so good seeing you all. And
Thank you so much, Brofsky.
be in touch. Okay. Bye, guys. Have a
Thank you for everything. Thanks, Samia.
Yeah.
Yeah.